You know, that thing at the flood thing that you were. Oh, yes. They're starting to
There's another one starting up, yes. I remember, I can't remember the name of the guy, but yes.
And they make, yeah, that's it, yeah.
I'm not going to be able to make that, I've already worked that night, but I'll get a hold of you. So I think I'll make it a little bit, yeah. Okay. So I want to stay. Well, and I was just mentioning to
Joe.
All right, good evening, everyone. Way more powerful this microphone than before. Thank you for coming. This is our Autumn Glen Cove Community Association meeting. We are live streaming on Facebook. I'm President Joseph Hayden. And I'll give you a quick rundown of the agenda. Hopefully it'll all come to fruition. So, I don't know, did the fire truck get here? The one that they're going to show up? Oh, okay.
It's
Great,
gorgeous.
I should get out there and check it out. And then, of course, the food truck's here. I see somebody eating. What else do we have? We do have an election coming up. We're going to have a Zoom call. We'll send out an email with details about this on December 4th. It's for the representatives that are on our board. It's usually pretty low voter turnout, but I encourage you to participate, and the Zoom is actually kind of fun. And all the ballot will be online. And if you're interested in joining the board, please consider nominating yourself. We'll be sending out information about that as well. Before I forget, also, let me introduce the board members who are here. And I'll start with our ex officio, Miguel Castillo, who is one of my predecessors.
Hello.
Next to him is another predecessor of mine, Neil Zimmerman, who's on the board with us. And Ralph Marscal is over here, who's my vice president, our vice president. And Nancy Bennett is here, the striped shirt, yeah. And also ex officio, Ron Bowen is right there. Oh yeah, and then right next to him, Frank Overton. Hi, Frank. Let's see.
Sounds like a violation of the Brown Act to me.
Let's see. Okay, then Lisa Williamson, previous vice president, and Christine Gibson is right there. And Ward Stewart is at the membership table. And Suki Labau is our amazing editor for the newsletter. That's our very professional newsletter. She's right there. And then Sam Letters, our treasurer, right there. And I think that's everyone. And of course, we do have our county supervisor here, Monica Brown. Thank you for being here, Monica. Hopefully, we will have the mayor. I heard she was ill. And here's our board secretary with the Halloween, with the pumpkin, Pat Tomasello. Oh, good, she's here. Okay. Also, Dina Morrison was here. I don't see her though. Oh, okay. All right, and then we just mentioned the two people we have tabling here. So as I mentioned, if you're not a member, it's only $20 a year, or it's quite a bargain. We've got magnets over there, and a map of our development. Ward is our membership coordinator.
$15 tonight.
Oh, okay, what a bargain. Okay. And then we've got tabling is Vallejo Wastewater Management. They've got a QR code for a survey. I'll also send that out with an email blast in the coming days. And they've got other swag and candy over there. And then we have a table here for the Humane Society. I think a lot of you know I'm on that board. I'm actually recently got suckered into being the president of that as a volunteer. And my vice president for that is outside in a phone meeting. And then we got Mark. Sorry, I don't remember your last name, Mark, but Mark is got a new dog grooming business here in Glen Cove. So I sat him there over by the Humane Society. I know that during COVID, it was very hard to find dog groomers and veterinary appointments. So we've got one right here in Glen Cove with us. So he's got his cards and other information over there if you want to visit him. And then we've got one of our presenters tonight, Kirk, is going to talk about CERT and Stop the Bleed, right? Is that it, or is there something else? Okay. Not Neighborhood Watch. Okay, that's another thing. Okay. All right. So, with that, I think we can move on. I think that was all I had. Neil, are you ready to do your presentation? So, there was a survey that went out. More than 100 of you applied. Neil can probably give you a history of, you want to take this one, Neil? A history of the survey that you did in 2018 and how we got to this point.
Sure. Hello, everybody. Joseph. Is that better?
Yeah.
I think that's better. Okay. One of the things we did in 2018, we realized that Glen Cove was almost, 28, 30 years old. And there had been a lot of change. A lot of people had moved in, a lot of young families had gotten big. And so we realized how little we knew about the community. So we did a survey in 2018. We had about 100 respondents. Now that's the reason I tell you that. I wish it was more. But the fact is, this is not scientific research when you only have 100 respondents. But it is sort of like what they often would call mother-in-law research. And so that's what I call it. But it is somewhat instructive in some of the areas, and you'll I think realize why. What our survey showed then was that the top 3 most important issues to residents of Glen Cove were reopening the fire station, urging better police attention to Glen Cove, and the third one was our deteriorating landscape along the parkway. As someone from the city once said, even plants have a life, and at a certain point, plants die, trees die, and you need to do things. And our infrastructure and water and such was in real bad shape. So those became 3 of the priorities. As you know, in, 2022, we got the fire station reopened. And I'd like to thank my colleague, Ralph Mariskow. When I was president, I named him Director of Security and Safety. Director of Safety. And what Ralph has done for all of us is really remarkable. He is on it with the fire department, with the police department, and with a whole host of other peripheral things. So that was really important. But I think the thing that I'd like to stress about that particular year, when you do one of these surveys, and you have the information about the community, what you're able to do is go to the city and say, half of the people that live in Glen Cove declare themselves either seniors, retired, super seniors, what have you. And it's not necessarily all about fire. It's about EMT type services. They need that. And that fire station is really important. Because as most people would say, if someone gets injured, there's about 8 minutes that the EMTs can get there and save somebody. After that, it really gets dicey. And so therefore, we had approached the previous fire chiefs. He wanted to do it up where the cemeteries are. He wanted to do some big thing. And I said to him, well, where are we on the list? Because he said, you're on the list. He said, well, I don't know where you are on the list. The list is much too big. You could tell we weren't making much progress right now. Anyway, when we had the reopening of the fire station, ex-councilwoman Rosanna Verder Aliga, she came and hosted at that event. And she said that City Hall and council people had got 1,000 emails and phone calls from Glen Cove. Imagine that. What do we have here tonight? Maybe 60, 70 people? Imagine gathering enough emphasis for 1,000 phone calls, 1,000 emails. That's why these surveys are important to me, and I hope you'll find them to be important to you. So that also addressed the landscaping work and so forth at that time. So 2025, the survey we just did. I imagine a lot of you participated, and I really appreciate it. We had a nearly 50% increase in the number of participants in this survey, thanks to all of you that did that. We plan on publishing our findings at some point. Joseph tried to actually use AI, and it came up with very pretty charts, but none of it made sense. I'm glad you guys laughed. I thought it was funny too.
We had the cheap AI.
Go from from AI to BS. That's it. Okay, so a couple quick demographic things about our current, at least based on people that responded. 84% of Glen Cove residents are age 55 plus. 64% are retired. 82% are college graduates or have advanced degrees. And 20% have children living in their homes. So that presents an interesting array of issues and problems that we need to be able to solve and try and help our community with. In our survey, we have a section we call interests and issues. And we listed about 10 to 12 important issues that we thought you might care about. We asked, though, for the top 5. The top 5 in order would be eliminating the fire danger from illegal fireworks. Ralph's been on that for a couple of years now, and it got better this past year, I think most people would agree. Improve the inadequate police response time. Well, our new mayor, who I don't know if she's here yet, but she plans to be here. But I think she's done an amazing job, along with our county support, Solano County support, in getting the sheriff to begin a program where they're going to also be patrolling.
Is that because someone lives next door to her?
It is someone that lives next door to me. Yeah.
I'm saying maybe you put a little pressure on them.
No, I put no pressure. No pressure. The next thing that, in addition to the inadequate police response time, was complete the Glen Cove Parkway landscape beautification all the way to Glen Cove Landing. So for those of us who get to see the first half of Glen Cove Parkway, we know that the trees look pretty. We know the plants are better. But the rest of the parkway, the roads are not as good, and there's things that can be done to make that better for our other neighbors. So, number 4 was stop drivers from running red lights and stop signs. Anybody think that's a good one? Yeah. And then finally, improve Vallejo schools. So our board has its work cut out. There's definitely things, but at least now we have an idea what the community cares about, and that's how we'll focus. Nearly 100% of the respondents said they know how Firewise can help you protect your family. Does everybody in here know about Firewise? And once again, thank you, Ralph. I mean, his emphasis on that has been important. And some of you, I would imagine, got discounts on your homeowner's insurance. If you asked them, 23% said they received a discount on their homeowner insurance. 42% said they asked their homeowner insurance company, but they said, no, we don't have a discount. I'm with USAA, and I got a 7% discount. If you haven't asked, you should. Okay. One of the things that we also want to do is be able to communicate with all of you. And we've got the new community board up there next to Safeway, and we've got these things called sign-a-cades that we have outside the entrance of the school. Maybe you saw them tonight. We don't know how effective they are, but I will tell you this: based on the response, the email blast, 82% of the people like the email blast that we use. That's something Joseph introduced, and it grew and it grew. It's something we can do quickly and get the word out to all of you. 85% seem to still like our newsletter. How about that, Suki? That's right, yeah. But I think one of the things that impressed me the most, because I'm older, and websites don't mean a lot to me, but I'll tell you what Joseph has done in his nearly 4 years now, is he has improved that website so much. It's robust. It's got things that you need to help you. It's got Ward's column on gardening. It's really a really good website, and I hope you're using it, but it seems like most of the community really does like it.
GlenCoveVallejo.com if anybody's curious.
And then also we asked about old and new GCCA events and how you like those. 55% seem to feel the garage sale is very good. Community meetings, 63% said they like the fact that we have them. I wish we got more people to attend them, if you know what I mean on that. One of our board members, Adriana, came up with an end of summer gathering. That's in its 2nd year, I think, right, Joseph? And that's seemingly getting more popular. Alyssa Stewart has been doing the National Night Out program for all of Glen Cove for years, and it's growing every year. But some of our board, our directors, some of our folks, like Dino over there in the pink, and Ralph with his community up in Old Town, They have very nice individual community. Either way you do it, it's a good thing. And the newest one is, maybe some of you have heard of, is the Holiday Lights Contest. That was a new one, and we think that one's going to become increasingly popular because there's a lot of people that spend a lot of time. So let me just close with saying we also had some old and new ideas. Top ideas that people were interested in were CPR training, holiday arts and crafts, that type of thing, meet and greet social events, a blood donation event, National Night Out, of course, popped up again. And the one that I really was happy about was Neighborhood Watch. 49% care about Neighborhood Watch. How many of you have a Neighborhood Watch in your community? There we go. May I ask what community?
Wildflower Avenue.
Glencoe Hills.
Glencoe Hills, terrific, awesome.
The Shores.
In Shores,
Shores.
has Neighborhood Watch. Anybody else? We need more of them. We're doing it. We're going to do it in Harbortown.
The Point.
The Point has a good one. And this is the person who really knows a lot about Neighborhood Watch.
Just want everybody to know that I have a card over here at the table, and it's got a scan on it, so if you want to start a Neighborhood Watch, all you have to do is scan it, fill it out, and get it back to the police station, and we'll have you in our database, and you get started, we'll give you all the tools.
Thank you, Lisa. That's Lisa Williamson from the Shores. A few questions?
Yeah, please, if anybody has questions, I can run around and bring a
Feel free.
microphone to you.
Sir.
If anyone mentioned something about a board up by Safeway, I have no idea what you're talking about.
So if you're looking at the Safeway store, and to the right of it is the cannabis store, and the Domino's, there's a little community board, it's like the type of thing you put on there and say, coffee meeting at 2 o'clock, that kind of thing. We did that about 2 years ago, and Pat Tomasello,
Yeah.
I think
Pat's
she's
here,
here.
yeah. Pat updates that regularly.
Pat puts funny things in there as well as timely news items. It's worth just checking out when you're at the market.
And it does have our website, permanently affixed to it too.
Right.
It's a standalone, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Standalone community board.
It's about the size of the speaker. It's a little black.
Yeah, bigger than that, but yeah, that's a big thing.
Listen,
Going back to the Neighborhood Watch, it's my understanding they're going to combine the Neighborhood Watch with the Business Watch, and they're going to combine those meetings because the businesses need watching as well. And so they thought they might as well let everybody know what's going on with all of them.
I think one of the things that happens with neighborhood watches is that you start thinking that if you've got like 4 or 5 streets, that everybody knows all the people on those streets. The approach we're taking in Harbortown is we've got 6 block cabins. So each street would be about 13 to 15 homes. If you get to know those people. Sorry about that. So the idea would be is to have smaller groups, but I think it all depends. I mean, there's the gentleman from back here, Roger, if you don't mind raising your hand. Roger's a great guy in my community, and he's going to be a block captain, and he's going to have about 12 houses where just make sure he knows the phone number and the names of the people at every house, and that'll be on the sheet that we turn over to the fire department, as I think, and the police department. So therefore, if there's an emergency, they know where they're going, and they start knocking on the door and say, Roger, come on, you need to get out of there, that kind of thing, if we can get to that. Anybody else? Ooh. Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
I'll do one more. Okay, thank you so much, Neil. I do want to also acknowledge we have Dina came in. Dina Morrison is one of our board members, and Tanya Levitt is here, and she's also our city council person. Hi, Tanya. And our mayor, Andrea Soros, is here as well. She's who I met originally through this organization. So, okay. So next, we are going to have Ralph talk about something that we alluded to a moment ago, and that is the traffic calming. And we have some exciting stuff coming with that.
Good evening. I passed out this sheet that has some numbers. It's like great if anybody didn't get one.
Ralph,
So I was a little frustrated with the progress that was happening on the parkway as far as the speeding. I had asked for some new stop signs and was told, we'll put it in the queue. As everybody knows, Glen Cove would pay a special assessment tax. And that assessment tax we can use for capital projects. So what I did is I went to the city and said, okay, we'd like to use some of our money. And they came up, gave me a figure that we could use about $211,000. It's in a certain pot that we could use. So I said, okay, let's use it. So working with the traffic engineer, LMD people, this is our first cut at an estimate of what we're going to do. So we're going to install new crosswalks, very visible crosswalks. Right here at South Regatta and the Parkway, we're going to have lighted, LED lighted solar stop signs, which will be flashing constantly. We're going to install what's called a speed table. And we're looking at installing those in about 4 or 5 different areas of the Parkway. One above Marina Road, as you're coming down the Parkway. One right before Robles. And one up between Bermuda and before you get to Bermuda, going up the hill. And so these will go across both sides of the road.
You want to tell them what a speed table is, because it's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah. And the other one we're going to look at too, possibly getting in there, is on South Regatta over by Weatherman and Clipper, in that area, because that's another big speed zone. So what a speed table is, basically it's a 6-foot run-up, 10-foot flat section, 6-foot down, and it's only 4 inches high. So I didn't think those would really slow anybody down. This last Sunday, we were going to Modesto, and there was a big accident on 580, so I took the back roads on Tesla Road that goes through the hills. And that road is completely covered with these speed tables. So I said, okay, let me test these out. The first one I hit about 20, no problem. 25, no problem. 30, you could feel it. 40, you could feel your car going up, the bounce, and then coming back off.
It's more like a speed
So
bump.
it's gonna, if you hit it going over 30 miles an hour, you're gonna feel it. You're gonna feel that jolt as you go over and come down.
Sounds like fun.
Hopefully it'll be fun.
Not at 50.
Not at 50, not at 50 or 60 as we see some cars going down the road. Let's see, what else we're going to install? We're going to install block dots, those little 2-inch plastic dots in front of the stop signs at intersections to get people to slow down even just a little bit. We're going to install a crosswalk now on South Regatta about Folkestone, because as you know, there's not a single stop sign on South Regatta from the Parkway all the way to the top of North Regatta. So that's just a straight shot that anybody can go. So people have requested that we put a crosswalk. So it's going to be a very visible, wide crosswalk, yellow tape, and a lot more visible. We had, the traffic engineer wanted to upgrade our curb cutouts to make them more ADA compliant. They're enough right now, they are cut out. We need to add a couple new ones, so we'll only do that, but we're going to try to postpone about $86,000 in work for the next project and get the speed tables installed. The lighted stop signs will go on the Parkway, higher visibility crosswalks in front of the school, with a state of California must stop for pedestrian sign. And it'll be a lot more visible. We're gonna get full striping on the entire parkway, because now you can't see the lines, you don't see where the crosswalks are. So all of that will be enhanced. They're going out to bid with this. They're writing up the bid package now, so it'll probably take about a month before they do that. Then it'll go out to bid. And once it's out to bid, it could be anywhere from 6 to 8 months before they start work. So, I know a lot of people are probably gonna get upset with those speed islands. They're gonna say, you're gonna slow me down, whatever. But leave a couple minutes earlier. You saw the fire trucks out there? This was all approved by the fire department. They go, yeah, you may slow us out for 30 seconds, but, you know, they're gonna happen all over Vallejo. So we're gonna be the test case for a lot of the new speed calming for the city of Vallejo. And I think it's a wise move to use our money to slow some people down. And so, anybody have any questions?
The figure that you gave that is available to the code, how much of that money is this one?
This is 205,000 right now.
And so does that mean that
We can cover whatever we wanted to do.
will it deplete the amount that's there?
Yes, but in next year's tax,
Okay.
that money goes right back in. So it's just continuously
What
filling
other
up.
thing you have? You said that Folkestone and South Regatta, you're gonna put a crosswalk in there? Because we live on the corner of Folkestone, South Regatta, on Humphrey.
Uh-huh.
We got mailboxes like $0. But anyway,
Still,
anyway, so what's it gonna be on the north side or the south
So
side?
crosswalk will be going all the way across South
All the way
Florida,
across, all the way around?
all four corners.
Okay.
one major issue that we do have, is the speeding on South Regatta up that way, but I didn't hear you say that there was gonna be any slow down.
Speed tables?
That could be added depending on what that's on my list as the ones over on South Regatta where the homes are along between Weatherman and Clipper. Because that's another big speed area.
Well, the, motorcycles, little motorcycles or whatever they are, they're
Crotch rockets.
all.
They just love that street.
Yeah, they do, I mean, coming all the way up there, it's right there at our house.
Understood. And that was it's on my radar to look at that corner too.
I just wanted to know, is the,
So this list here, is this going to be, could you breaking up the bids, the phases of this?
No, this is all going to be one
It's
phase.
all going to be one phase? Huh, okay.
Yeah, the speed islands, the city engineer and the traffic engineer, they're about $8,000 to $10,000 in cost. Because all they are is a little hump of asphalt with some striping, so.
I have a question for you. Is this going to be accompanied by maybe stationing some sheriffs at any of these places? Because that could also increase the city's budget. And there's no better way to teach somebody a lesson than dig into their wallet.
I am also on the chief's advisory board,
Okay.
and I hear numbers all the time. 2 weeks ago, our new traffic division, which is now consists of 4 traffic officers, 3 or 4, and they're back on motorcycle. One of them was parked right there at South Regatta and the Parkway. In less than 90 minutes, he gave out 25 speeding tickets and moving violations.
Well, I can tell you, Pueblo and Pressure, and Pueblo and Pressure, man, no, those are just suggestions.
Yeah. So, The only reason he stopped is he was only carrying one traffic book of tickets. So
Great start.
I told him, next time take 3.
Yeah, great start.
But I think this is a good start for us for Woodco. The traffic has gotten really out of hand. This morning, I was doing 35 going up the Parkway, and car blew by me, at least 50 or plus. And where did I catch it? At Robles. They were stopped at the stoplight. So it does you really no good to speed. But if there's any questions or concerns,
Hi. Are these rubber or concrete?
they are asphalt.
Okay. And so, as we are putting down this material, this product, what's our commitment? What commitment have we built in that we're making sure we have regular maintenance?
These are going to be put in by the city traffic, or by the city public works. So public works will maintain them as long as we have them.
So how are we gonna, so I agree with what you're saying.
They're going to be inspected.
Okay.
I think it's on
I
18
trust
months.
that you will ensure. I trust you. Okay.
Okay.
Here's a question.
One more. Yeah, has it already been designed?
Yes, as far as the speed tables and everything, I've got a picture of what they're going to look like if anybody wants to see it. But they've been used all over the country. They're approved by the city, they're approved by the state, so we're not creating anything that hasn't been out there before. Okay? And if anybody has any questions, just go on our website, look me up, and just shoot me a question.
Maybe I missed some of this, but I'm not sure that I understand what ladder crosswalks are and some of the terminology on
The
here.
ladder crosswalks are a wider crosswalk, bold yellow tape with lines in between. It looks like a ladder made out across the road. And so the tape is about 1 inch thick. So when you go across that crosswalk, you'll know that you went over a crosswalk like that. And on the other side is, this side.
Oh, maybe that's the ladder.
On this side, this is what the speed table is going to look like. It's going to have those arrows. So it'll be 3 sets of arrows leading up to the speed table and a sign that says, caution, speed table, please slow down. So
Are the ladder ones going to be the ones with the orange or the?
they'll be in yellow.
Okay, so like this then.
Not like that, but they'll have stripes on them.
I like it, this is one of them. So it's pretty visible.
They're visible.
What did you say the height was?
4 inches. 4 inches.
Okay.
You don't think that's a lot, but when you come up that 6 foot ramp, flatten out, you'll see that it's going to slow you down.
Thank you.
All right, so now we're going to have Kirk Williamson give a demo of Stop the Bleed and Sir. Well, that's the one thing you want.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you all for coming. My name is Kirk Williamson. I am the interim CERT volunteer manager as well as the Southeast Vallejo battalion captain. Southeast Vallejo is from the Carquinez Straits to Benicia, Georgia to that area, okay? That area. I'm going to talk a little bit and focus more on home safety than CERT, because unfortunately, for the last 5 years, CERT has been inactive. CERT stands for, it's an acronym, CERT, Community Emergency Response Team. We were fairly active about from 6 years ago for the last prior 10 years. We had ham radio operators. We had mutual aid, American Canyon and Benicia. It was basically, in an emergency, in a situation where we had either an earthquake, fire, whatever the case may be, a natural disaster, or man-made disaster, fire, we have to watch out for ourselves because our resources, the emergency response that our city has and the county has, will be very limited and very busy. So we have to watch out for our neighbors, watch out for ourselves, watch out for our community. So the bottom line is we are very limited. Anyone in this last month who's went down Glencoe Parkway and tried to get on 780 and that construction that was happening right there on Robles, back you all the way up down the parkway to at least North Regatta, right? You imagine if it was an emergency. Imagine if we had to evacuate the area and we had to get out, and that was happening there. It would be a mess. So what CERT does is we go around and hopefully educate the community to, again, watch out for your neighbor, watch out for your block, get everyone semi-educated on what to do, and a little bit of emergency first aid and so on. Know your neighbors. Kind of goes with neighborhood watch. Know your neighbors on your block, maybe a block over or a block behind you. Get a phone tree together. Have a little community gathering. Again, something goes down, you're going to want to rely on them. Not just in an emergency, but if you go on vacation and, you know, strange people are walking down the street or looking in your house or taking pictures of your home or whatever, you're going to want your neighbors to say, hey, someone's at your house. Is that okay? If they say no, call the police. So on your phone tree, you know, have their name, phone number, email address, address any medical issues. Ask them if they're comfortable. Hey, do you have any medical issues that we should be aware of in case, you know, I don't see you for a couple days? I'm going to be knocking on your door just to let you know or giving you a call. If you don't answer, I'm calling 911. Again, be kind to one another and watch out for anything that's going on in your neighborhood. Now I'm going to touch on some of the basic household safety that you should have in case of an emergency. I have about 5 flyers over here that you're more than welcome to, after the meeting, come over and grab and take with you. They're safety checklists. First and foremost, since Sunday, either none of you know that or not, we turn our clocks back. And that's always the time to check your batteries and your smoke detectors. So please do that if you haven't done so already. Time change is a good landmark for it. In your home, prepare for an escape route. If you have a 2-story home and you're on your 2nd floor, and maybe there's a fire on the 1st floor, there's an earthquake and you can't get down or out, try to figure out a way how to get out of your house or out of your home somehow. A ladder, jump on your garage roof, whatever the case may be. Don't just think about it, talk to your family about it, practice it if you can. Make sure you have some sort of fire extinguishers or some sort of fire extinguishing equipment in your home. I brought a couple with me. One is this little thing right here. You can buy it at Home Depot or Amazon. A lot of people aren't a fan of Amazon right now, but nonetheless, this will put out 9 different types of fires. Now, a fire extinguisher and this are basically, they'll put out a fire the size of a garbage can or a stove fire or in your car, maybe hopefully your engine fire. But the idea is to extinguish the fire quick enough for you to get out. Okay, you're not a trained firefighter. You're not going to go in there. You're not going to put out a huge kitchen fire or whatever house fire with one of these. Another thing that's available, again, online is this fire blanket. This is a fiberglass type fire blanket. It's about 4 feet by 4 feet. And you can either drape it over yourself, put it on someone that's on fire, or just throw it over a fire. They make larger ones. But this is great. It will suffocate the fire, which is the idea of taking the oxygen away from the fire. Again, have these on hand, I would suggest.
Where did you get them?
You can get them online, unfortunately. Or someplace, you can just Google it. It's called Prepared Fire, but there are other off-brands. They cost, this one I think is about $20. Relatively good. This little thing right here, again, it's about, I think, $16, $17. And then if you buy it in 3 packs or 5 packs and have one stationed all around your home, one in your car, one in your camper, whatever the case may be, the more you buy, the less it is.
And is that just called a fire extinguisher, or does it have a
No,
separate?
this is actually called Stay Safe. It's a life safe. It's an aerosol, actually, this is. But if you have a fire extinguisher, most people wouldn't have a 5 or 10 pound dry chemical fire extinguisher in their home, unlike us. And I will, because that's the business I'm in. But you can buy the little 2 pound kittas at Home Depot for about $25. Thank you, man. All right, please, Sam. Make sure you place flashlights that have fresh batteries in them, and maybe check the batteries at the same time you check your smoke detector batteries. Have flashlights placed around the house. It's a good idea when the lights go out, which inevitably they will, like New Year's Eve.
What about solar panel flashlights, and also wind-up flashlights? That's what I have at my house. Those are great, because you don't have to have any electricity or batteries.
Thank you, Joseph. Both flashlights and radios, they do make solar powered, battery powered, and the hand wind-up. You can get them at NOAA, NOAA, National Oceanic Association. If there's something that goes down in your home, earthquake, whatever the case may be, leave your home immediately, if you can. Call 911. Make sure you have a phone tree. Make sure you have someone outside of the area that you live in, friends or family, a designated person that you can call and say, hey, I'm okay, or hey, I need help, can you help? Now, in an emergency, the phone lines are going to become all sorts of messed up, and you may not be able to get through. Text. Texting uses a different level of operation on your phone than the cellular service does, and texting, 99.9% of the time, get through to people. So make sure you have that point of contact outside of your normal area, like outside of Glen Cove, outside of Vallejo, some sort of family member out there. In an earthquake, a couple things you should do. Number one, you should go in your garage or wherever your hot water heater is and make sure that it's strapped. Make sure that your hot water heater isn't going to fall over and snap, and those gas lines are going to start leaking, and the hot water is going to go all over the place, but more importantly, the gas line. There's strapping. I have a flyer over there that has the strapping that's how to. Local handyman can do it, a family member, a friend, whoever, a neighbor can come over and just put the strapping on. Yes, Tina.
I just want to say that the building codes in Vallejo now have certain measurements for where the straps should be on your tanks, so that they don't.
It's on the flyer.
Yeah, okay. So a lot of people just get handymans and they just put them on, but they don't do it correctly.
Right. It'd be worse than if you didn't do it.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
How long is the fire extinguisher good for? I have one in my kitchen under my sink, and the truth is, I have no idea how many years it's been there, and if it has any value.
So typically, the rule of thumb is 1 year.
Okay, it's not good.
Well, yes, if you buy the kit, if you buy the ones from commercial, Home Depot, Ace, Lowe's, wherever you buy it, those are definitely one year. If you get the commercial brand that have the 5 pound or the 10 pound fire extinguishers, maybe have one in your garage, they can be serviced every year annually, and they should be. Then every 5 years they have to go through what's called the hydrostatic test, which means that someone has to come out or you have to take it someplace and they take it all apart. In a fire extinguisher, and most of the dry chemical fire extinguishers, not the one that is being passed around, it's when I say a 5-pound or a 10-pound fire extinguisher, what I mean is that there's 5 pounds of dry chemical in there, or 10 pounds of dry chemical in there. Typically it's 5 pounds. And then it's got, in the bottle, it's got compressed air, and then that whole system is held together by a rubber gasket. And when you squeeze the handle of a fire extinguisher, there's a needle that punctures that gasket, and it lets the compressed air with the dry chemical out the nozzle, and you're spraying the fire. PASS, something to remember, P-A-S-S, okay? You're gonna pull the pin on the fire extinguisher, you're gonna aim at the base of the fire, you're gonna squeeze the handle, and you're gonna sweep back and forth. Again, more likely than not, it's just to get you out of there. All right, you're not gonna be extinguishing any major fires other than maybe a garbage can.
Question, hi. For those of us who have a small Costco-sized fire extinguisher for more than a year, how do you get rid of them? Can you just put them in the trash, or what do you do with them?
I would take it to the fire department.
And actually, there's a Vallejo on Sheridan and Lemon maybe down there. There's Vallejo.
For recycling?
No, there's a guy that actually will recycle and or update your fire extinguisher. That's his whole life is fire extinguisher.
Thank you, Dina.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that sounds like a newsletter.
He doesn't recycle, you can't bring him an old thing, he will not recycle them. It's just the
Yeah, it
ones
is a
that they
hazardous
actually
chemical.
do. But,
It is hazardous material.
yeah, but you can't, he will not take, I know because my business is real close to him.
Okay.
Over on Sonoma Boulevard. He won't take like an old canister and recycle it for you, if you have it.
Just take some for me, but.
Not if they're past the 5 years.
Okay.
He can't recycle them.
Bring a fireman in and come and ask him. They should do.
Yeah, out there still?
No,
Yeah, I would actually take it to the fire station.
I know one in his room, but I don't know if he wants to be identified.
There's a firefighter in the room, speak up. So back to the hot water heater, earthquake. Also know where your gas shut off and your water shut off is in your home. They're both on the outside of your home. Your gas shut off in an emergency, in an earthquake, if things are shaking, let's say 4, 5 and above, I would, if you smell gas, shut it off. There's a couple of tools. There's this tool right here. It's $7, Home Depot, Lowe's. I have it hanging on the meter, on my gas meter, where the shut off is, or you can just use a regular crescent wrench. Have that hanging out there too. This is good because it also shuts your water off. And you're not going to shut your water off at the main out on the street. You should have a little, and I have a photograph of it in one of my handouts. It should be a nozzle, a valve, that's right, normally it should be on either side of your garage, and it's basically, it comes up out of the ground and goes into your home. That's your water shut off. Gas is more important. Okay, you can deal with water remediation all the time, but things go boom, you're done.
What is that tool called?
A gas shut off tool. Quite seriously, that's what it's called. Yeah, you're welcome. Yes, ma'am. Just know, and this shouldn't stop you from doing it, but if you shut your gas off, it is mandatory and you're legally obligated not to turn it back on. You have to have PG&E come out and do it. You can't do it because you don't know if the gas line has been broken. If you have a gas stove or something inside your home or a dryer, you don't know whether that line is broken as well. And you turn that thing back on and there's an ignition source in your home, boom. Okay? Any questions on that? Now, go bags. Does anyone know what a go bag is? Yes. I have veterans in there, I'm sure. A go bag is basically a bag that you need if you need to evacuate your home immediately. You can just grab it and go. It should consist of any food, water, enough food and water for 3 days per person, some clothing, but important stuff that you really need to pay attention to that a lot of people don't is medicine. If you have medicine, make sure you put it in a Ziploc, you have it a little bit extra off to the side, have it in your go bag. If you wear glasses, extra pair of glasses in there. Important documentation. Have a copy of your birth certificate, have a copy of your homeowner's insurance and your medical insurance. Everyone's information, copy of your driver's license, cash for traveler's checks. We may be in an environment where ATMs, credit cards don't work. We all remember cash, right? Paper stuff. You have to please have cash. Put it in a Ziploc with all your important documents. If you have pets, make sure you have some extra pet food for your pets and water as well. Yes.
How much cash?
Oh, that's discretionary.
Like 3 days or like?
I don't know. 101 to make it rain. I don't know. But I wouldn't have large denominations. Me personally, I have a couple $100, but it's in many different denominations. I guess not everybody can do it.
Exactly.
So again, there's a list over there, and I have some more emergency supply. There's a couple pictures of emergency supply kits over there. That's just a basic glaze over of what it is, but it's important. It's important that at least I plant the seed in you. If you want more information, you can go to FEMA.gov and look it up. There's a lot of information on FEMA.gov, as long as FEMA continues to exist. Sorry, in the chat. I'm going to get into. No, yes, sir.
One thing we didn't cover, and this is something most people don't even think about. Don't panic. The biggest problem, people see something, they go bananas. You gotta learn to just assess it real quick, then go after it or move out. I've been in the military for 28 years. I've worked with the county of Santa Clara, involved in the soil labs and that, and I've had to be on the radio with different things happening. And we were talking to the 10 numbers. It's amazing how many people, even though they were taught that, did not know how to relax and assess it and not panic. And they're professionals. So that's what I'm saying, these people. Don't panic. Look at what's happening and go from there. And you'll live a lot longer.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for your service, sir. And I have to say that you and I, we're on the same page. I can pretty much handle everything. I'm pretty level-headed. You can ask my wife. Not everyone is like that. It takes training, as you know. Some people are naturally like that. Some people are just going to naturally freak out. And that's just the way it is. So be prepared for people who are freaking out. Yes?
I've heard conflicting things about after an earthquake, you should stay in your house because glass and electrical lines might be down, versus like get out because your house may be about to explode or something. Like how do you judge that?
So I'm going to go back to what this veteran just said. What's your name, sir?
John.
John. Hi, John. Pleasure to meet you. What John said, you have to assess the situation, right? Look out your door, look out your window. If things are on fire, you see sparks everywhere, okay, the safest place may be in your home. But if you smell gas, you want to get out.
Yes.
It's all circumstantial. We can't predict yet. Earthquakes, well, we have a few seconds to predict it, but everyone has a My Shake app by chance. There's an app called My Shake. It's supposed to give you a heads up. Not so much. Yes.
I don't know if you're going to discuss this further or later, but do we have, or is there someplace where we find the evacuation route? Has everyone been prepared?
We were just talking about that, yeah. So there is alertsalana.com, so encourage everyone to also register your mobile devices there. No, better not.
Yeah, alertsalana.com. You go in there, you register your phone number, and in case of an emergency, Alert Solano, you'll receive a text to your house whether to stay in place, get ready to move, or move. And so the way Glen Cove was when we did the evacuation plan 3 years ago, it'll be by, depending on where if there's a fire, say, up at the top end, okay, those people would want to go first, so they would get an alert that says go. Coming down the parkway, it'll be stay, be ready, and depending on where the fire or disaster is. And in an earthquake, all bets are off. And like assess. Like Kurt, I'm certified in CERT, I'm a trainer. I did it through Pleasant Hill because Vallejo didn't have it. And so it's...
So there's nothing that would tell somebody to say, we're in this development and right across from the park, that, you know, in recent, the 7.5 earthquake and Rosa, there is, you can try and get on Glencoe Parkway, but you will be there for hours, or you can try and go down to the water and make what, I mean, is there suggestions?
Actually, there's 5 ways out of Glencoe.
Okay, that's what I want to know. Those
Okay.
5 ways.
It's going up the parkway to the freeway.
Maybe that should be published in the newsletter as well.
And I'll publish it again. New Bedford to Magazine. New Bedford to further down, can't remember the name of that street. Pueblo.
Head that way.
Yeah, head that way. Yeah, head towards Magazine. The other way would be down South Regatta to the entrance to the state park. And you can walk out to State Park. And, see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yeah. And I was in talks with Vallejo Ferry, the water, to possibly get a ferry to come to the marina. But the draft there is, it's not deep enough to get a ferry in there. So that's another
Commandeer a boat.
Commandeer a boat. I took the keys from my son-in-law. He's got a boat there, so I have a boat there when I need it.
All right, if anyone has any more questions in regards to the home safety or the community safety, please see me after the presentation. Time is kind of short, I'm gonna roll right into stopping the bleed. So, I was a former volunteer firefighter, search and rescue for Santa Clara County, and EMT. And my current job now, I do a lot of teaching of CPR, first aid, AED, and a bunch of other stuff. Stopping the bleed is the biggest thing, and it's pretty basic, okay? You get cut, and we're talking extremities, arms, legs. If you get cut in your abdomen, if there are organs that are hanging out, you become eviscerated, I know, sorry. Please do not put them back in. Okay. Cover up with something clean and sterile. Some people, I mean, it's a natural reaction, they just want to stuff it back in. No, don't do that, you're going to do more damage. But what we're going to talk about is this basic cuts to at least get you to the hospital or until EMS arrives, okay? So the first one is direct pressure. You get cut, what you want to do is take some, if you have it, in a first aid kit or something, some clean gauze, and put direct pressure on the wound. Use your fingertips has the most pressure if it's a smaller wound, and hold it on there. If the person is able, have them do it themselves. You may be in a situation where you have multiple injuries and you have to triage people. If there are people that can do it themselves, called the walking wounded, have them do it. Have them put pressure on themselves and just keep them monitored. If it continues to bleed and it bleeds through, keep adding to it. Never take it away. Something is wet and becomes saturated with the blood, don't remove it. The idea is your blood's going to clot. It's going to close up that hole with blood clots. If you remove it, you're removing that blood clot and you're still going to continue to get blood. Arteries, which if you're bleeding, it'll spurt out with your heartbeat. Arteries go from the heart to your extremities. So they take blood from the heart and bring them down to all your body parts. Veins return blood to get oxygenated through your lungs and your heart, and then through the artery, back they go. Right? Right, Dina?
Yes.
All right, thank you. I need confirmation every once in a while. So, direct pressure, that's the basic first step. The second one would be packing the cut. If the cut is deep, and it's an artery especially, and it's pumping out the blood, you're going to want to hopefully have PPE, glove. I don't go anywhere without my gloves. You're actually going to want to stick your fingers down into the wound, and I'm using my arm, it could be your legs, wherever, and put pressure on that artery to stop it from bleeding. Then you're going to take gauze, or if you don't have gauze, something clean, sterile, could be t-shirt, clothing, whatever the case may be, and you're going to stuff it in there. You're going to continue to stuff with it. So on one hand, you're going to keep pressure on the artery, and with the other hand, you're going to continue to stuff until it's packed in there so tight that it's not bleeding anymore, or at least it slows the bleed down significantly until EMS gets there. Okay? The third one is a tourniquet. These are commercial tourniquets. We have combat tourniquets in the Army, but you can get these online as well. These go on extremities only. If you have a neck bleed or a head bleed, it doesn't go around the throat. Oh, you'd be surprised. Right? If you have an abdominal bleed, it doesn't go around. But it goes on the legs or the arms. It goes 2 to 3 inches above the wound. So from the heart, you want to start it from the heart going further than that. So let's say I have a cut on my forearm. I'm going to put it either right below my elbow or above it or knee. You're not going to put it on the joint. It's not going to go on the knee or on the elbow. All right. The idea is you're going to put it on and you're going to tighten it so tight it's going to hurt them. But I mean, hey, if you're going to use a tourniquet, they're going to be hurt anyway. So tight until the bleeding stops. All right. Now you may not have one of these. Well, so on this, it's Velcro, so you'll get it to that point. You'll take this little white Velcro tab off, and you'll turn this. It's called the windlass. You'll turn it until the bleeding stops. Okay. Then you'll lock it in. You put this little tab over it, and if you notice, you may not be able to see it. It says time on it. You want to write, if you have something to write with, write the time on it. So when the EMS comes there, they know what time, how long this tourniquet's been on there. Once the tourniquet's on there, you don't take it off. You let them, by the way, it's a one-time use, you've lost it. Ambulance goes, so does the tourniquet. But, it's tight. If you don't have this type of tourniquet, you can use anything. You've seen it in the movies, in the old westerns, or whatever the case may be. You can use a piece of clothing and a stick, right? Your belt, exactly. That's a very common thing. Same concept though. Get it tight, tie it off, get a stick or some sort of rigid device, get it in there, twist it until the bleeding stops, and then tie it down.
And you want to put it above the wound.
Correct. Always above the wound. If you've got the tourniquet on there and it starts bleeding again, never take the tourniquet off, add another tourniquet above the tourniquet that you've already got on there. Any questions? Sure.
Is there a rule of thumb in terms of how long, if you put it on, the other person's panicking and saying I'm gonna lose my arm or something, is there a known amount of time or hours where it's gonna lead to amputation?
Well, normally tissue starts to atrophy, which means that it's not getting oxygenated blood or oxygen to tissues and muscles. That's 7 to 9 minutes. It starts, or worse. Your muscles start to die. They start to atrophy. Not to say that you'll lose it, not to say that it'll cause permanent damage, but that's basically what occurs. So the idea is hopefully EMS will get there quick enough to relieve you, right? You're not a professional when you're doing this, you're just trying to stop the bleed. I have several of these everywhere I am, so. Yes, ma'am.
What do you do up there if you've been impaled on something, or you've been stabbed? What do you do? You take it out?
We were discussing this when we came over here. Thank you for reminding me. That is a key thing. Someone gets impaled by something, you get stabbed, something goes inside you, don't unplug the hole. Right? You see it on TV all the time. Someone's got said, oh, let's just pull the knife out. No. It's in there, it's basically stopping whatever's in there. If it's bleeding around there, you're going to pack around whatever device is inside you or that's impaled you and try to stop the bleeding that way. No, you're not going to put pressure on whatever it is to stop the bleeding. I mean, common sense, but sense isn't so common anymore. So please, don't unplug the whole thing. Duct tape, not a good idea. No, sir. No, because it's pliable as well. It's not rigid. You can't secure it down. Anyone else?
One more thing.
Tom?
Yes, sir.
As I said before, don't panic. There's a person like that that needs help. Always talk positive to them. Hey, I've got help coming. We're gonna take care of it. Foreman's just on his way in. Stuff like that. You gotta keep them calm themselves. It's really important because they get excited, that screws things up more.
I agree, and thank you for that. I didn't want to get into the weeds of all that,
I know.
but yes, you are absolutely right. Remain calm. If you're freaked out about blood, by the way, just because it happened, you don't have to render the aid. Call 911. Here's my rule of thumb on every training I do. If you think, no matter what it is, a medical emergency, a crime, or whatever, if you think to yourself, should I call 911? You've answered your question. Call 911. That's what they're there for. They, as a former first responder, much rather come out and there be nothing wrong versus come out an hour later and they say, well, you know, it happened about an hour ago and we didn't think it was going to be a big thing, but now it is. All right? But yes, if you don't want to do it, don't do it, but at the very least, call 911.
Thank you, Chris. All right, so I just want to remind everyone, since we do have these people tabling over here, just one more reminder for those who came in later too. We've got the membership table there, Warrior over there. We've got the Vallejo Wastewater Management. They got a QR code. They want you to fill out a survey, but I will be emailing it out. We've got the Humane Society. We've got the lookbooks with all the available dogs and cats that we have for adoption right now, where Mayor Schwartz is sitting. We've got a dog groomer sitting behind there, Mark. And yeah, and that's who we have. So make sure you get a chance to stop by and see those folks. And now I think the mayor's going to take some Q&A. I don't think we have anyone from BPD to talk about, but maybe Andrea, you can talk about the sheriff's supplemental support of BPD. This one slide if you want.
Okay. As much as I want to do what Kirk was doing, there is an online component, so I'll just hold it at a distance. Hi everyone. I know most everybody here, for those who know, my name is Andrea Source. I'm an economics professor by trade at SSE, where I'm mayor of Vallejo, and I also live here in Glen Cove, so I do know a lot of folks. But I wanted to be available really anytime we have these meetings to give updates and more questions. And I'll say, when was the last community meeting? Was it April? Something like that, April, May. So I came, for those that were here in April, and kind of shared a little bit about what the city council had been up to at that point. I think a little bit about some of the boards that I'm on externally, because the mayor, the system of government that we have, it's a council manager system. So we have a city manager that runs the city, and then we have the mayor's kind of the chair of the board, the council of the board. The mayor also sits on a lot of regional boards, like the Glen Wastewater District, our transit agency, Soul Trans, who we had back in April, which is our bus service, and our water agency, which is really important right now in California, and on some other transportation committees. So what I want to do today is maybe just share a little bit about where I am at about 10 months in, and the real message, I ran on transparency, increasing government transparency, increasing accountability, really delivering better services to our residents, and getting more inclusion and voices heard. I love this community, and I just didn't feel like the government was responding, at least at the senior levels, to the needs of the citizens. And so I think we've had some wins, and at the same time, I'm not satisfied. We have a lot more progress to make. So I'll share a little bit of that, the challenges that still lie ahead, and the things that we're pushing for, and the ways that you all can help. And then also, I think, some of the real wins that we've been able to get with the City Council. The first of which is the sheriff. So when I came in April, we spoke, and I think VPD was also here in April. We spoke about the effort to bring in the Solano County Sheriff that a couple years ago, the police department has been really struggling. They have reforms to implement. They've been very understaffed, and so response times, as you all said in the survey, response times have not been acceptable. And so one of the things that the City Council did was they said, we need to get supplemental support either from CHP or the Solano County Sheriff. And when I came here last time, we had actually secured some CHP support just to help out with sideshows. And if you've noticed, they've been coming off the freeway a little bit more. It's not for anything formalized, but you might spot them on Portola or on some of the side streets near freeways. They're going to be supporting the construction project on Sonoma Boulevard, which I'll talk about in a minute. But the big one was really trying to bring the sheriff. And the process was slow. We took it when we came in office in January. Councilmember Letters, and I and our colleagues, when we came in office in January, it was pretty stalled. It took a few months to get it through the city side, and then it took a few more months to get it through the county side and get it through their bargaining units. And we are confirmed that we will have sheriff support starting in January. January 1st is the plan. It's going to be and I think for all of the things that I still want to see, I do want to celebrate that progress, and I think it's really going to make a measurable difference in response times. The estimates that we were getting were that it was going to cut response times by about half. The model right now that we're looking at is slightly reduced from what was originally proposed. So they were originally, the sheriff office, this isn't going to make very much sense to you all, but what I'm doing is a sweeping visual of East and South Vallejo. The 4 beats that kind of start up in Northeast Vallejo and scoop down through Glen Cove up to Georgia Street. That was originally the half of Vallejo that the sheriff was going to patrol for 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it's not to give just extra support to that area, it's then to free up VPD to patrol the rest, so that you get increased coverage in all of Vallejo. Because of the delays, the phase model that we're looking at is going to be 3 beats for 8 hours a day, and there's an opportunity, if it goes well, to potentially scale up within the year, but that's still very solid coverage, and it's going to be the 3 beats, the southernmost 3 beats, so the ones that include those unincorporated areas in South Vallejo, and it's going to include Glen Cove. So for our purposes, we are going to start seeing the sheriff in the afternoons and evenings, 7 days a week, starting in January. The only real difference is that the deputies will be responding to calls for service. We'll still see increased coverage all throughout Vallejo, because again, they're going to shift around resources with VPD. So having the sheriff or not having the sheriff in your particular beat or neighborhood is less important than we're really looking to try to make a measurable difference on response times, because I know that was a huge concern in the community, and it was something that was a concern to me, not just in terms of as a community member, people I heard throughout the campaign and since I've taken office that people are, we understand, people were saying, we understand that crime can happen, we're never going to get it down to 0, we want to get it down to 0, we understand that it happens, but we want to know that if we call 911, an officer's going to show up. Somebody's going to show up, and we're going to clear and get that perpetrator. And so we're moving more in that direction. And then what it's also going to do, in my opinion, the biggest benefit of this is that it's going to free up bandwidth of our own officers so that they don't burn out. Because they're working a lot of overtime, they're going from call to call, just haven't seen the worst of human behavior, and this is hopefully going to give them a little bit of a breather so we don't lose them. The good officers that we're trying to cultivate and that are implementing reform and implementing community policing and revitalizing neighborhood watch and doing all this good work, that those officers will be more supported and less overwhelmed by having to work all those overtime shifts. So I see over that plan, we've been getting updates from the chief every month on how the recruitment and retention efforts are going to boost up so that during this time we use that time to staff up. So this is going to be a 1-year program with the sheriff, with the idea that BPD will use it to kind of buffer and address the staffing shortage. So that's been a big win. We have made some progress on the budget. I said earlier that I wasn't fully satisfied, and I'm still not satisfied. So I think Vallejo didn't have a balanced budget, structurally balanced budget. A lot of cities are struggling right now. It's just a thing that's happening everywhere. And we finally started tackling it and made some progress, and we still got some work to do on that. One of the things that we've also been pushing for is auditing, to both make sure that we're fiscally responsible and that we have our departments that are operating efficiently, that we're using our limited resources where they're most used. And we approved that funding in February. I think I came here in April and was excited, like we got the funding for it, and that still hasn't started. So again, it's kind of, I'm very honest and transparent about how difficult some of this work is and how difficult it is to push for change. And I think it's great that the council unanimously supported that, and we're pushing hard. It's taking longer than I would have liked, but it is still coming, and it's very much a process. And if we need your advocacy, we'll let you know if we need some pushes over the finish line on some of those things. The other big update, and then I kind of just want to take some questions and see what issues are most important to folks. I was looking at this survey, and I think if we've learned nothing else today and from these meetings, it's that this is a team effort. That's one of the things I love about Glen Cove and our community is you've got people like Ralph, who are Ralph sometimes hears about stuff before I do, before Councilmember Lett do, because he's just in the mix. He's in the mix, and so the advocacy on the things like the speed humps and the traffic calming and making sure that our L&D dollars, our landscaping dollars are getting put to use and getting activated. I know I appreciate that, and I'm here to support whatever is needed in that work. So that will hopefully help us address the speeding. Obviously, the sheriff coming in will enable, again, more capacity BPD as they try to continue to boost that traffic division. The other thing I think that was on there, and you all can ask questions if I missed any of the big priorities, but the schools, which obviously are not in, or maybe not obviously, are not in the jurisdiction of the city. But there is, I believe at least, a strong opportunity for greater partnership. And I will say, having now been 10 months working collaboratively with the school district in a couple of different spaces, that we have a new superintendent who's in his second year. We have new principals at both of the high schools, the big high schools in Vallejo, Jesse Bethel and Vallejo High. Both of the principals are alums of those high schools. I personally, this is my personal opinion, that I really like the new superintendent. I think the school board has done a great job turning things around, and I had the absolute pleasure of attending, just as a guest, the event this summer where VCUSD finally exited receivership. So they have been in that shadow of state receivership from that bankruptcy now for 20 years. And to their credit, really to this board and the more recent board's credit and this superintendent, they got it across the finish line, and it was not an easy task. So I personally, there's still a lot of work to do, but I really am pleased with the direction the school district is going. And I think for our part on the city council and from the city side, we have been allocating funding. Again, same message as before, it's not getting deployed as quickly as I would like, but we've been allocating funding to try and push youth programs, to try to subsidize or make free youth sports, things with our Parks and Rec district, which is also separate from the city. So working collaboratively really with our school district and our Parks and Rec to make sure that our youth, when they're not in school, have productive things to do. And then hopefully trying to get, more job and internship opportunities. Those are sort of the longer term steps that are being taken. So the city is engaging on the issue and trying to build that collaboration with the school district. And I think there's been a lot of growth. Just in the last 2 years, our former council member, former vice mayor, Mina Valera Diaz, she was on the 2x2 committee with the school district in the city, and she's a founding member of that. And I think with that groundwork, now I'm serving on that with Councilmember Matula, who represents North Vallejo, and We're both educators, and I think we've got a really good foundation on that board. So I wanted to share that and let you know that if you do have concerns about the schools or questions, you're welcome to share them with me. It's not in my direct jurisdiction, but we do have a very collaborative relationship with the school district, and there's work left to do, but I'm very optimistic, I think, with the leadership and having come out of receivership. So they're having some difficult decisions right now and discussions around school closures, which are really tough. And I don't envy them, but I think they're being as transparent as possible about it. They have a lot of community meetings. I think they have one more. If I remember the date, I would tell you and say exactly when it is, but if you go on their social media or their website, it's going to be on there. They're doing meetings in English and Spanish for folks to be able to weigh in on the closures. Glen Cove, in all the conversations I've been a part of, Glen Cove Elementary I've never heard it mentioned once. I have heard Penny Hook mentioned. So there is one kind of nearer to us that might be closed. And the idea is to downsize to make the district more kind of fiscally sustainable coming out of receivership. So I think one thing which is transportation, and this is actually one of the things that I'm most excited about, is I get to sit on our regional, our county transportation board, and then I get to sit on the Highway 37 policy committee with representatives from Sonoma, Marin, and Napa, whatever the other Great County is, Napa County. And we entered the discussion midstream. So we were already at a toll on 37, but the plan is to widen Highway 37 to reduce the congestion, and part of the funding, not all of it, but part of the funding to come from a toll. The toll is, I think, a little bit slightly still in play, but probably not in play in terms of we kind of have a very difficult choice where it's either we pay a toll on that road or we have a road underwater in 30 years. Still right, that thing's going under and it's already just 2 lanes, 1 car accident, and it backs up. So we're in a very difficult position with a lot of trade-offs, and I'm trying to engage community as much as possible. So I wish I had the QR code here to share with you. They actually have an open survey, so what I'll do is I'll send it to Joseph. If you could send it out in the newsletter. I know even though we don't live near 37 in Vallejo, we take 37 anytime we go, west. So please weigh in and let the organizers we don't make decisions on the toll, we just advocate. There are Bay Area regional boards that do that, and it's difficult in the North Bay. We're very underrepresented on those boards because Alameda and San Francisco and Santa Clara counties, they have, just population-wise, they have way more representation than us. So we've got to be organized and ready to go. This is what we want to fight for. Like, do we want to move the toll gantry? Do we want to try for a reduced toll? Do we want to try for a low-income discount? Do we want to try for a commuter pass? I'm really trying to engage the public on where might we push. Again, if we try to advocate for eliminating the toll altogether, I don't know that we'll be successful, but I'm happy to try that at every opportunity. And believe me, that was the first thing I asked, is can we avoid this toll? So that's something I'll share, and that's a really important project that's going to be taking place over the next 10, 15 years.
Well, that was my question. It's like, are there no other funds anywhere that can keep us from having 37 underwater?
There are funds, but it's.
Did I ask federal?
I asked no federal. We can just kiss federal funds goodbye right now. The state. So there are a couple of things. I'm learning a lot about transportation funding, big construction funding projects, and there are a couple of dynamics where if you can produce funding, you get match. And it's a $500 million project. Unfortunately, we have to, in the short term, widen the road, and then they're going to eventually try to build an elevated causeway, but that's a $10 billion project, and we're nowhere near that. So that road's going to be underwater, before we can even get those funds if we don't do something. So the idea is widen it now, and they're going to also do some environmental mitigation with a couple of the areas. Again, if you reach out if you're interested in that element, I'm happy to share more. The Sonoma Land Trust has been really engaged in that. They're trying to save some of the protected species in the marshland and do some sort of temporary mitigations until they can try to get that big causeway. But the idea is that, we really can't get the level of funding that we need unless we provide some match. And the way to do the match was identified as a toll. I hate it. I have a lot of feelings about it. I feel very strongly about it. I entered the conversation midstream. Our county supervisor, our chair of the board of supervisors, who represents Vacaville, Mitch Mashburn, is now our representative on the big Bay Area Transit Agency, which is MTC, which is the Metropolitan Transportation Commission. And he serves on that committee with me, and he will fight. I mean, he will fight for us, but he's very much in the minority on that committee because there are so many reps from other parts of the Bay. So all that's to say, I think there's going to be a net benefit for the community, but we're going to really need to fight for equity on this. And so I'm going to need voices from Solano County, equipping myself and Supervisor Mashburn when we go into these conversations, so we can be equipped with those stories to say, this is how this is going to impact our folks. This is how this is going to impact our low-income folks. This is how this is going to impact our veterans trying to get service on their island. This is how it's going to impact our seniors that are on fixed income. Like, equip us with those stories so we can push for equity. While we're doing that, we also have a big diverging diamond interchange getting installed at Fairgrounds Drive, which is the first of its kind in the Bay Area. Don't ask me how it works. There's a video online, and I'm excited to try it out when it opens. It's supposed to be far safer for both pedestrians and vehicles, this particular format of interchange. And then we're getting a complete transformation of Sonoma Boulevard, end to end, which is probably the project I'm most excited about right now. Just completely bisecting all 6 miles of Sonoma Boulevard, just bisecting our city. It's going to get not just paved, but things like curb ramps, beautification. It's called a Complete Streets Project to really make it more pedestrian friendly, connect with some of the regional trails. So there's a lot of really exciting things happening in terms of our infrastructure and our big highways here in Vallejo over the next few years.
With the Humane Society on Sonoma Boulevard for the
Yeah,
next 5 years at least, that's good to hear.
Yeah. So that's that. So the transit, youth, public safety. I think I covered the big ones. Let's see what questions people have. And we'll just
I'll
go
walk
from there.
around.
I see Ralph first.
The new Indian casino. I think that's a topic that's on a lot of people's mind.
Yeah.
It looks like they just taken eminent domain and started building. Do they have federal approval?
I will tell you, this one hit us, and I'm looking at Councilor Ledger because this literally went down on day 3 in office. We were in office day 3, and the Bureau of Indian Affairs, it ruled on this. So it was an issue. Obviously last year we were hearing about it, but it really became forefront very, very soon after we took office. So basically the Scotts Valley tribe of Homo Indians acquired the land by Costco up there on Columbus Parkway. I keep doing this visual as if you all, like I'm Vanna White with the map of the city. I don't know if that even means anything, but up in the sort of northeast of Vallejo by Columbus Parkway, where there used to be sort of horses and it was kind of tranquil and gate. They acquired that land and put it into trust, which once the land gets put into trust, it then becomes, there's different jurisdiction. It basically becomes its own government. The tribe kind of has its own government jurisdiction. The city has some say in terms of how it affects our surrounding infrastructure, our water, our utilities, our roads, use like that. There's engagement on that. But at the point that they put that land in trust, then it becomes their land to do. I'm not an expert on exactly how that planning process works. I'm having to learn pretty quickly. But the big thing that I think everyone is most interested in is whether or not they're going to get a gambling license to build a casino there. So the land is theirs. They will have it. They're building tribal offices right now. Working with the city on that is my understanding in however that process goes. And the decision to give the gaming license is one that is made by the Department of Interior, DOI, at the federal level, Bureau of Indian Affairs, and they do that based on whether they think the tribe has a demonstrated connection to the region. This one is very controversial. So this tribe is based mostly up in Clear Lake. They have made arguments that their ancestry historically kind of came through the area, and the BIA, Department of Interior, ruled against them, then flipped and ruled for them, and then went back against them. So it's been a journey. where they originally were denied the gaming license, like, you don't have enough connection to this land. 3 days into us being in office, I think was when they said, nope, we're Biden administration, right before the Biden administration left office, they flipped it and said, nope, we're gonna give them the gaming permit. And then the Trump administration came back out, it came back in, and there was an appeal filed, and on the appeal they said, no, we're gonna pull. The issue is now in litigation. So we have our tribe, the Yoshidegi and some of the Papuan tribes around here, it's embroiled up in the federal system, of which we have no control. So I know that's the best information that I can give right now. I personally, if I were to say, I would say we're probably looking at a couple of years at least of this being embroiled in terms of whether or not they get the full casino plan. My understanding is that the city, they're working with the city on the plan for the full casino with the assumption that they'll get the gaming permit, but we're not going to get a decision on the gaming, it's not permit, but the gaming license. Yeah, the gaming license for a while, and we don't have a say over that. What we will have a say over is if when that proceeds and they do build this casino, we might have a say over what community benefits we need, how that, advocating for how that's going to impact our traffic and our public safety and our resources in the city, and trying to get community benefit. And that will as soon as we have information on that, what that looks like, we'll find a way to get the community involved. Because we have not had a lot of control over this process thus far. And prior to us taking office, the city had already signed a cooperative agreement with the tribe that they were going to work, during this interim period, they were going to work on it. So that predated us, and now we've come in and kind of had to sort of sit and wait, hurry up and wait, and then they're constructing those tribal offices in the meantime. Go ahead.
So, I'm not sure if this is Vallejo or Benicia, but over by the graveyard there, they're doing some work. What is it? I don't know. It's right across there.
It's building homes.
That's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
The homes that are being built.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
Is that KB Homes?
Right.
Is that KB Homes? Yeah.
They won't hear you on.
They will.
Is that the one that's the third phase of the?
What's the driving one?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I talked to Robbie Thacker, who's the planning office person who's in charge of the Rollingwood housing project that may or may not come online. And what you're seeing is not related to the Rollingwood housing project. What's out there right now is heavy equipment related to some road work that's gonna get done.
So there's a proposal thank you. So I wasn't familiar with that particularly. I know there's been Caltrain's work around the interchange in general, and they've been doing, I think that sounds like what that is. Also, there is a proposal with KB Homes to build housing on that Rollingwood site. It's currently owned by the school district, and their goal is to acquire it from the school district and build those homes. And I believe it has gone through the planning commission of the city of Vallejo. It's in those final stages of approval. So that is in the pipeline as a potential new housing development.
2 points of appreciation is one is I go by 11th Street every day to my business, and the roundabout is wonderful there. And I would really like to see more of those in the city. I think they've been proven to be economically better, and safety-wise they've been proven to be better. And I'm hoping that we continue developing those. But what I'm really excited about, and I was hoping you could talk more about, is this program where EMT and the social worker go out into the community rather than the police. And I'm curious about long-term funding for this and the effect on allowing police to be doing things which they should be doing rather than that aspect.
Yeah, thank you. So on the first point, yes, so please, thank you for sharing that, because I think my colleagues and I all fairly unanimously want to see us engage in those sort of low-hanging fruits in terms of we're thinking about traffic, speeding, reckless driving, just our general quality of life. There are things like rumble strips and roundabouts and speed tables, and there are things that are relatively low cost for the city that will really have a good, ROI or impact on people's lives. And it sounds like that one in particular has made a difference, which is great to hear, because I know the city has installed several to address sideshows recently, and some were successful and some were not. Some, a recology truck couldn't get around, and so I think getting the feedback from residents on what's working and what's not working is really helpful.
The economics of them versus traffic lights is phenomenal.
Yeah, the bang for your buck, for lack of a better term, is really great on those. And they're really safe. And I think between that and the Sonoma Boulevard improvements, that is we've already seen one of the other big successes now that it's end of October. Sergeant Hollis and I, every time we're together, I'm like, should we talk about the reduction in sideshows, or are we pushing our luck? We've seen a dramatic reduction in sideshows this summer relative to last summer, and part of that's the CHP surge. I think part of that's PD, ramping up their response, and then some of it is the physical deterrents that were placed out in the community. And then to your second point, which was iHeart. Yeah, iHeart has been, I think they've been here before. For those that aren't familiar, we have a nonviolent response to mental health calls for service. So calls for service that are not, where there's not a weapon or any danger. We actually have a certified social worker go out. The iHeart they have their own vans. Their office is over on Florida Street, near the waterfront. They are absolutely wonderful. It's been a huge success. They work really collaboratively with PD. Dispatch sends them directly out to calls. They have, I think, taken thousands of calls that then VPD doesn't have to take, and the officers can go to the calls where their skill set and presence is needed.
Any update on funding though?
Yeah, so I think I would be shocked if we had a funding issue. Yeah. I think the way that this last process went, there was no question in anyone's mind that this needed to be funded, and identifying a source of permanent funding is a priority. And if there isn't a permanent source of funding identified by city management, the council will direct that something be moved around. I don't think iHeart's at any risk, because it's been a dramatic success, a huge success for the community. Yeah.
I'm kind of concerned that I talked to Rekha, our former finance director, which is another subject about people leaving, and she said there were $12 million in the Measure P coffers that are unspoken for. And that really troubles me. Staff hasn't come to Measure P committee for months and months with any request. Winter's coming on, SNAP is going to be disappearing, and let me work one other thing in. You familiar with the Army Reserve building? I went out there today because somebody posted a video of somebody throwing trash away. It's a good acre of trash. It reminds me of the boat thing there. The city just left the gate open, and the gate is open. All it needs is about 10 feet of gate. The whole place is fenced in, and let's use some Measure P money to clean it up. And I guess the owner, whoever that might be, is somewhat responsible, but it's shocking in how that place looks. I mean, it's so Vallejo, frankly.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I share the frustration of both of those things. And to the point about Measure P, I think that's where I hope, I think my goal in this role is to engage community and create, to really rebuild trust in government and create more dialogue where we can really see responsiveness to our needs. And I'm eager to celebrate successes while also recognizing that there are still real severe problems. Severe problems for accountability and severe problems in just our ability to get money deployed out on the ground. I mean, I mentioned earlier we approved funding for performance auditing in February. That was in last fiscal year's budget, and that still hasn't happened. Council approved funding for violence intervention programming. That still hasn't happened. And so you get, I think the money that's pooling in Measure P is emblematic of not having that vision and not having built up the muscles to really get the projects going into fruition. So we have put $10 million a year at least through Measure P into the streets. And I think that's another thing that's hanging in the balance is getting that real long-term street repair plan But yeah, one of the things that I pushed for as part of the budget process was to set up a subcommittee of 2 or 3 council members who would review the budget process, make sure it's more transparent, starts earlier, has opportunity for adjustment and engagement. And one of the things that I made sure to include in that was creating a process for how Measure P is integrated into the budget process. Because what it's been so far has been very much, oh, we ran out of money for this thing, or we had a cost overrun for this thing, let's go to Measure P. Measure P was the sales tax amendment that passed a couple of years ago. Oh, let's go to Measure P for this cost overrun. And there's not any, proactive. What are the problems we wish to solve, and how do we wish to use Measure P to address those issues? So that's very much still in the balance. With respect to the Army Reserve site, there are 2 sites in Vallejo that are incredibly complex and have gotten to the point, I've been very vocal about the issues with encampments that they, if you have people that are just trying to survive, it'll attract dumping, it'll attract crime, it'll attract arson, it can get out of control really quickly. And there are 2 sites in Vallejo. One is that Army Reserve site, and one is the White Slough at the Strip. If you're driving in on 37, you see that little spit. And both of them are problematic for slightly different reasons. The issue with the Army Reserve site is because it involves the federal and state and local. There's a bunch of different governmental jurisdictions on that site, and I don't want to oversimplify, but I think there hasn't been a coordination between them. It's kind of just been, nobody has taken responsibility for it, and nobody has the ability to go and do it unilaterally. But I will say, we got our county supervisor, which is that area, that particular site. Actually, both of those sites are. No, the Army Reserve site is Supervisor James. So her office, the Congressman's office, our state legislators were needed at the city are actively having those conversations, and I believe there is a plan to address that site in the coming months. But it is taking far longer than anyone would like to see. That's yeah. It's been a point of extreme frustration. And it's taken a while to just get these agencies to kind of talk to each other about the directions.
They caught the guy in the red truck.
And then the same thing with the white slough piece, the spit. There's a few different owners, and there's a bunch of complications with our wastewater district and our So it's just, again, it's about being able to solve problems, as it says up there, like really getting people together and going. Our goal needs to be to solve this problem for our people, for our community. Right, Terry. I know it's getting late. I appreciate you all.
Thank you. As you're probably aware, there's a massive gravitational pull in shipbuilding within our region. I guess my question is, there's a lot of collaboration going on with the cities, along Cook and Strait, to the Delta, and beyond. And I'm just curious how Vallejo is planning to collaborate and jump on this shipbuilding.
Yeah, we've had a couple things. There's 2 or 3 separate tracks that are all kind of along the same lines that are happening. One is Congressman Garamendi's Ships for America Act, which was designed to provide funding to kind of reinvigorate existing bases, which is, he has Vallejo very much in mind for that. And so over the summer, I convened a couple of meetings, just sort of introductory meetings with our maritime stakeholders, because a lot of times you'll get legislation with a good vision, and by the time it gets down to the local, it doesn't necessarily go the way you want it to go. And so I wanted to make sure that we got Mare Island Dry Docks out there, we've got our Working Waterfront Coalition, we've got Cal Maritime, which is now Cal Poly, officially now, and really addressing where might this funding be best utilized. And we identified some potential areas. So that conversation's moving. That went to a city council meeting last month, I think. And there's basically, we had Mare Island Company, who owns Mare Island, put together a white paper of kind of the assets and what they could be used. And then the city council has directed staff to create a more encompassing white paper of our assets and pull in our assets of neighboring cities as well to kind of pitch to the Navy and the Coast Guard and say, if you wanted to build parts of ships or do repair or home port a ship here or do maintenance, this is what we can offer. and really push that forward. Obviously, you've also got California Forever out in Collinsville that's pushing for a brand new shipyard out in sort of East Solano County. That is compatible and not competitive with what Vallejo would use CHIPS Act funds for. And then there's also, what I'm most excited about, is there is an effort by our Maritime Academy, Cal Poly, that is still in the very early stages, but they're looking to really invest in workforce development. So I think, we would be able as Vallejo to get components potentially of a regional investment. There's a clear need to have a presence on the West Coast. We're very well situated. We're situated, not just obviously with our history and our central location on the West Coast, but we're by Silicon Valley. There's AI. There's a lot of defense technology there's a very compatible ecosystem happening with defense tech in our region. And I think there's a very strong pitch that can be made. It's just about getting the stakeholders together and making that pitch. So we're in the process of that. I think the workforce development piece, particularly for Vallejo, could be our niche because we have that Maritime Academy, which is the only Maritime Academy west of Texas. So we're just, you want to have a presence on the West Coast, put that workforce development investment right where that Maritime Academy is. And then, use our various assets in the region to get the facilities that are needed to then get them jobs once they're trained. Yeah. What else? Go ahead, Dean. Or no, let's go. I think you had your hand up first, and then we'll go. And I'll bring the guy.
I'm just curious and would like some more information about the Costco project.
Yeah, that is a long time coming. That Costco project, that has been in the pipe for, I think, almost a decade now. So if you've driven up Admiral Callahan, that road is closed off, and they're doing a combo development. So there's going to be a brand new Costco. It's going to be bigger, I think 50% bigger, but don't quote me on that, than our existing Costco with the gas and all the same services and parking. There's going to be a couple of other businesses in that shopping center, I think Raising Cane's and something else. And then there's going to be a housing development right next to it. I forget how many houses. So what they're working on right now is the Costco portion, and then I think the housing development portion is almost ready to break ground as well. I don't know the timeline I'm finishing it off the top of my head, though. I'd have to check on that. And then she asked, what about the existing Costco? So Costco insists, I've learned, Costco insists on owning their own properties. So Costco actually owns that old Costco, and they will decide what to do with it. I have been in conversations with the property managers for those developments up there, with where the Marshalls is and where the Bed Bath & Beyond used to be. That there's going to be a trampoline place going in to kind of see, at Safeway closed up there, can we get a grocery store? What other things can we get up there? But I don't have anything firm to say about their plans. I would be shocked if they didn't put that site to use almost immediately. I don't think it'll be vacant.
I would vote for Wisconsin.
She said she would vote for one. I love Winco. I just discovered Winco. I absolutely love it. I would love to have one in Vallejo. We don't necessarily pitch specific grocery stores, but I think we have. I would be shocked if we don't, with all these housing developments that are coming up and the additional population that's coming in. I think we're going to be right to show the demand for a grocer up in that area of the city. Winco, W-I-N-C-O. They are not. The nearest one's in Vacaville, and there's one in Pittsburgh.
They're employee-owned.
They're employee-owned. They're a co-op. It's really cool. We're growing that. But shop in Vallejo for your groceries. We'll try to
Taxes local.
Yeah.
We're trying to get our own food for lunch.
Yes. I just want to say, we always focus on the bad things in Vallejo, but tonight we have Ralph bringing in traffic calming in our own neighborhood, which is awesome. We have iHeart, which I've already used a couple times for scenarios, both in Glen Cove and outside of Glen Cove, and they were fabulous. And I don't hear the sideshows anymore.
No,
I
that's a
live in
huge
Glen
win.
Cove. So I think that's 3 big wins for us, and we really need to
Yeah. And a huge team effort to get all that going. And I think that's the thing is I want to keep pushing. I want to keep pushing. I don't want to just get one. We got the sheriff. We're good. I'm going to keep pushing for change and for accountability and for better city services. But we're also there's so much to celebrate. And we just got a partner truck out there. There's so much development. We're giving the key to the city for function. We're going to be doing a key to the city for CC Samapia. We got the Hall of Fame. We've got, I mean, there's so much great stuff happening here. Go ahead.
Joseph, you're in the way.
So I believe if you have any information that a sales developer that wants to add homes to Glen Cove behind the same place, or way out. I know about that.
I hear Steve talking about that. I have about the same amount, at this point, I have about the same amount of information as you all do. I went to when they had the open house over in, I think it was at Norman King. Went there and kind of spoke with them about their vision and the community concerns. And I mean, I have to be, in order to be able to vote on the project, Councilmember Ledger, and I don't want to speak for her, but I think I can, so I'm going to try. Councilmember Ledger and I need to be able to vote on that. So you're not going to see us express anything about it. We're going to collect information. But we want to hear what you have to say. So please tell us what you have to say, because then we'll vote on it. If we express any, preference now, it'll
So
we need to be able to be unbiased when we vote on it.
Yeah, so the plan has been approved by the design board, but I talked to Mr. Orozco with the planning department. The environmental impact review was completed in August. It's with the city for internal review. And then once the internal review is done, it'll be open for public commentary. It'll go to the planning commission. If the planning commission approves it, then it has to go to city council because the land has to be rezoned to allow the housing development to come in. So there's a long road ahead.
As for 51 houses, 51?
51 single-family homes on what's called a planned development, so one main street and little alleys that all the houses are off. The city website's got some good pictures and images. My name and my email are on the Glen Cove community website. You're welcome to send me an email. When it gets closer, I'll be letting people know how to communicate your thoughts and feedback to the city.
You already said what.
Any other questions for them?
I really appreciate it. Reach out anytime. I just appreciate everyone. And we really need you to be involved and give your input. Equip us with the tools we need to represent you well. So thanks everybody.